So check out the mop on this kid. This is was he 7 years old?
Yep.
7 year old Jameson Newman. He's Chad's son, of course, and he's rocking a mullet. I think he's going for the gold chain look now too, maybe.
Yeah. I'm gonna drop him off over the center city there soon. Just leave him to his people. If anybody knows what I'm talking about locally, it's a skeet.
Yeah.
Nah, he's good, man. And I said if he's going to show up at the rink like that, winking at the moms, he better show up with some moves.
Yeah.
So
It's
You know,
funny. We were at a jamboree in Mount Pearl this past weekend. Not for his age bracket, obviously. It was for my
mhm.
youngest son, the U7s, and I noticed a couple of kids rocking the mullet. I was like,
Oh,
I,
dude, it's back.
I,
I might
I'm
do it
not.
myself.
Well, for me, I'd be into it, but more of a skullet. Like my hair's been running away from my forehead for quite some time now. I can't catch up with it.
Yeah.
But anyway, guys, welcome back to 2023. This will be our first episode in 2023. Happy New Year to everyone out there in podcast land, and big Happy New Year, of course, to my hosts here, my co-hosts, Patty Phillips, Chad Newman. Kylie is away from the desk tonight. She's visiting some family, so she's unable to attend. But again, big Happy New Year out to her as well. But all that to one side, we're here to chat some Leafs hockey again tonight. We just finished up a interesting game. It was an amazing game. I mean, Leafs handily beat down another team on the second half of a back-to-back, which makes it even that much more impressive. But there was a few holes in the game. We'll talk about that. I'd love to get the boys' input on a couple of new additions that we've had late in 2022 in Conor Timmins and Dryden Hunt. I'll get some chat about those guys. And I know if I know Patty at all, he's going to want to talk about the upcoming trade deadline because that's what Patty lives for. It's like the sustenance that keeps him alive from year to
Oh,
year.
like
So
I got the vacation day in already.
yeah, booking it off. I might actually this year too. I think I might actually throw in a vacation.
Why don't we do a Trade Center day? Trade Center
Should do a trade
podcast.
center day.
We
We'll do it like old Jay and Dan style. We'll get like robes and stuff.
I've asked John to wear pants on this thing at the best of times.
I got a special shout out.
Well,
Yeah,
special
do it.
shout outs are what it's all about, isn't it?
Huge supporter of the show. She scored her daughter scored her first career minor hockey goal tonight. Madison Tucker. Her mom, Jennifer Tucker, is a huge Leaf supporter. Always putting hearts on my Leafs Facebook posts after every win. So first goal, tied it up in the third period.
Yep.
A great friend of my little girl, Nora. And we tied Newman's
great goal
Mount
it
Pearl
was.
Blades 1-1. It's been a battle. I think we've had a win, a loss, and a tie this year. So
Yeah, rubber match coming down.
where are we going to meet? Like that deciding game, we might have to meet out on the overpass or something out in, I don't know, at Whitla's Bay or Patty's Pond. That'd be a great spot
There
for a
we
bit of
go.
pond hockey for the girls.
Yes, sir. Catch a bit of wind over there.
Well, as you're
Yeah.
allowed out past the overpass, right? Anytime at all, you come out this way, right?
Yeah, but you don't have E out here anymore, so
We got arenas and everything out here, running water and toilets. It's amazing out here. You should try to come out sometime.
So
Anyway,
we'll have the fundraise so we can afford the gas.
yeah, fair enough. Well, big shout out to Madison. Congratulations, dear, on
Yes,
your
and a
very
great
first
goal it
goal
was.
in minor hockey. That's a big deal. I know I got a couple of kids in when it comes to hockey games. They're still waiting for their first ones, and they've been kicking around it lately. Very close this last weekend and
Hannah's
today,
still in
actually. So
pursuit.
we're in pursuit. Yeah, it's a
Hannah
big deal
is.
for them, and they're talking about it and everything now. So again, Madison, congratulations, and the Phillips Newman rivalry is still going hardcore.
Well.
First it was cornhole with the men. Now it's
Yep.
minor hockey with the young ladies. So lots to come, I guess. We shall see. But a big
Okay.
shout out, guys, to our sponsor, to our season 3 sponsor, the Delaney Hockey Program, one of the finer hockey schools in Newfoundland and Labrador, which is our home province. If you couldn't already tell by the distinctly terrible accents that we all got. The DHP, they're in the process right now of starting up the second half, the winter session of their Hockey Essentials program and two-line hockey, which is kind of the backbone of their programs. Two-line, of course, is instructional hockey, where they're breaking the kids up into teams and putting them in real game situations and stopping plays and explaining where things could go better and how to approach certain situations. Two-line is amazing. Then there's their Hockey Essentials program, which is exactly what it is. It's drills and drills and drills on top of more drills, and they change week in, week out. 13-week programs, and the kids get so much out of it. It's a bit ridiculous. As far as I know, both programs for DHP again sold out again this winter. So best of luck to all the kids drawing on DHP sweaters in 2023. And from what I gather from talking ownership, they've got some surprises coming up, some big stuff happening with DHP. So again, thank you to Delaney Hockey Program for sponsoring the podcast, and we'll be giving you their news as soon as it comes our way. But for now, we're on to episode 5 from season 3 of the DSC podcast, Tidder Tatter. Let's get at her. So here we are, guys. Season 3, episode 5, the DSC podcast, with your hosts, Patty Phillips there, top left, Chad Newman on the bottom, and myself, Ryan Gates, top right. We're going to do a kind of our, I guess it's kind of like our go-to when it comes to the podcast. We all love getting together and chatting about a game after the game. That's kind of how this all started, actually. 3 years ago, we said, we always used to chat through text message mostly about the game and what we were seeing during the game, after the game, and a podcast kind of grew from that. So anyway, through the jigs and the reels, the Leafs just played the Flyers, handily outscoring them 6-2. I guess I'll throw it first to Chad, and just to get your post-game reaction, how you felt through the game, and what you thought about what you saw.
Well, from what I saw in between my wife's birthday dinner and getting my kid in the bath and all that, and
priorities
running around with my phone, trying to get my setup done. Trust me, the priority was there. Look great. They're getting back to their regular self after the whole Morgan Riley's back meltdown. Everyone's going crazy over. It's okay. Everything's fine. Timmins is back. I never want to see that guy sit again. And just chugging along. Let's get to the playoffs. That's me.
Yeah, not the cleanest game, but hard to say that was not the cleanest game after a 6-2 win. Actually, so happy for Matt Murray. He actually had a lot of grade A saves. He did really well. Good rebound game for him. I thought he was actually really, really good. And the fact that Leafs Nation, again, sky was falling again on the goaltending after, what's that? 3 or 4 bad starts. I love the stat when they go back and they go back so far in time. I think it was December 15th when they say, okay, now we're finally get the Leafs with the 30-second in save percentage back to December 15th. They go back far enough so that we got to finish dead last. And it's a horrible stat. They have not been great by no means. Again, not all on the goaltending. I think the Leafs' success in net this year is a combination of those two guys, of course, but much more commitment to defense and those types of things. And you heard it today about Matthews, and yeah, he's having a normal year. Not for him probably, but he's had a lot more attention to detail on defense, which probably not taking those riskier moves as much anymore. He's not as impactful, but I thought it was a real good game, back to back, and that very well could have been a bad game for him.
Well, my question about the non-impactfulness of Matthews is he has he been? Well, I hate to say non-impactful because the guy's got 20 goals, but it's all relative. But with his, see, I hate even talking negative about it because it doesn't make sense for me to be saying Matthews not playing well, because he's playing very well. He's just not playing MVP of the league well. But let me just throw this out there to you. Is he maybe not playing as well as he did last year because this year he hasn't had to? Is that possibly a thing?
Definitely.
I think he's possibly just filling another team need. Nobody's considering that. I mean, the team needs more of what he's doing, and he's doing it. That's what they were lacking. You can't hold the lead because we don't have enough defense. Well, he's playing defense. He's blocking shots. He's picking pockets. He's getting back.
I mean,
you're going to sacrifice a few goals doing that.
they've got a captain there who's notoriously the lead by example guy. And if there's one thing we know about John Tavares throughout his career is that he's always been that guy who was willing to change his game at a drop of a hat. You want me to play defense? I'll play defense. You want me to learn? You want me to do better on faceoffs? And I'll work on my faceoff. You want me? What do you want me to do? I will do for the sake of winning. That kind of stuff is not lost on a 26-year-old Austin Matthews. I don't think.
No, that's elite. You can change and adapt to whatever you can at the highest level. It's not just you do that one thing great. You do whatever you want great. Whatever the team needs great. So keep it up.
Again,
go ahead.
It's just him becoming a full, complete player, which we've slowly seen him happening as well. I just don't think, part of me even thought, Jesus, he's saving his energy for the playoffs. I don't think that's probably possible at this part of the season. But you're not seeing that power move to the net anymore, or as much. It's just different. It's just different from what we saw last year. But I'm fine with it. Like, if that means Nylander's having a career year and that Tavares is on pace for 40 and Marner is Marner, then
three more.
They've got all four players chugging along for a long period of time.
We could finish the season with 3 40 goal scorers.
I was thinking the same. Yeah.
Like,
right?
How nuts would that be? Right? I mean, that's to me, that's just mind-boggling because, like, again, the funny thing about, and that's why I don't even do Leafs Twitter anymore. I don't do Facebook posts and stuff. I just don't do it anymore because there's a generation of people who don't even remember the Kessel era, who don't remember what it was like to wait till game 80 for Kessel to pot number 30 and for us to celebrate because we had a 30 goal scorer, one of them, you know?
Yeah. And he cost a fortune.
And here we are with just oozing with talent. Like, it's just ridiculous. And Mitch Marner, who's not going to finish with 40 goals and is arguably our best player. Not even arguably. This season, I think he's been the best player on the team. I think the All-Star nod only confirms that. And
Willie deserves one too. He must. Like, I think he should.
I think from start to finish, because Marner and Matthews took some heat back in October. If we go all the way back,
they did.
Yep.
Nylander, I don't know if he had a bad period of time, not a bad period within a game. I think he's been the most consistent from day one this season, which for him, what are we now, 4 months into the season, 4 or 5 months? Pretty impressive that Nylander's taking his game to.
Well, you can backtrack on your comment there, and your comment of he hasn't had a bad period, as in a period in the game, is not far off either. He's been so consistent, period in, period out. Like there was one. When you said that, I was thinking about, oh yeah, no, there was a period where he coughed a couple of times, and that again it was I can't remember what game it was, but I remember it was back earlier in the year, and everyone's like, oh yeah, this guy sucks, and then he just went on a tear and just kept scoring and scoring. But he's been a complete player every game. Game in, game out.
He's keeping up with Matthews and Marner.
Yeah.
He's 1 point less.
I still think Nylander's contract, arguably one of the top contracts in the NHL right now.
Yeah, I mean.
And we've said that for a couple years. He had a bit of a rough ride. He didn't have a great first season, that contract. Like, he missed 4 months.
That was the only one, though.
Right, yeah. So he's been real good for, I'll say, a $6.9 million.
Mm-hmm. And you know what? In the playoffs, he's like one of the only guys that doesn't shut down. He's still Willie in the playoffs and getting it done. Yeah. So I mean, that can't be ignored either.
He just don't have big highs and lows. Like, he's been pretty consistent, and but again, love the fact that JT got 20 goals this year. Like, we wondered where we were going to pick up the scoring from McKayev, those 20 plus goals. Never really thought that we could get it from a combination of probably Nylander and Tavares. Now, again, Matthews will not hit 60, but
and Tavares right now has 8 point less than Willie.
And their plus minus. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, we can love on the top 4 all day long, and we're not going to shock anybody. But since you're talking about where they're going to pick up those 20 goals, what about Kelly Yarncork, man? I mean, he's on pace for 20 goals.
He doesn't look out of place.
No, he's about the cash.
He on that second line, I don't know, but he's not the most viable option we've had, period, since this second line experiment came about. And they tried bunting there first. I remember when they had Richie up on the top line, which of course was a disaster. And then just through osmosis, they ended up moving Bunting up to play with, Marner Matthews at that point. Was a no-brainer. And then it was just a combination of Kerfoot, McKay, just steady string of forwards in healthy Robertson once in a while. I still think that's his job if he can ever string it together. But Cali Yarncrook, man, like, holy cow.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, the guy can shoot, and that's what Dubas said when they acquired him. They said, we think there's untapped potential there on the offensive side that we'd like to see what we can get out of him. And I don't know what his career best is. I haven't looked because that's not his game, but I'm going to have to because I'm sure he's on pace for it if that's the case.
Yeah. I think he would. I can't recall him because he was with Nashville, wasn't he? Was that where he began?
He was drafted by Detroit. Never played there.
I thought his years were in Nashville.
Yeah, most years were in Nashville. 2013 all the way up to 2021.
Yeah.
Then Calgary and then here. Or Seattle, Calgary here.
Yeah.
You know what? That third line right now, like David Kemp, I was going to say he don't get enough like thank yous and praise. He actually does. I think most solid fans that know the game knows what he brings to the table. You know what? I'm not hating that third line right now with Kerfoot and Engvall. I know they're not contributing a ton, but they make a bit of a difference out there. I don't exactly hate it.
Here's his best at 35 points in 68 games.
Oh yeah,
and that was in 2017-18.
What's he at now?
17
points now
and 33. Oh, this is not updated, is it?
Probably
20.
Hit 3 tonight.
Come on, NHL.com. What's up?
In any case,
you're the NHL. Like,
in any case, you get my point. The kid's got like 20 points in 34 games, which is like James Van Riemsdyk when he played with the Leafs. That 3/4 of a point per game player. He's been a fixture in our bottom six primarily, only until recently. So he's earned a shot on that second line, and to me, he's paying dividends. I think if anything, it's helped too. Like him and Marner have had amazing chemistry on the PK, and I guess Keith's looking at that and he's like, okay, we got a spot open on Marner's wing. Him and Marner are playing incredibly well. Like it's a passing clinic out there when two of them are on offense on the PK. So why not give him a shot? And he just doesn't look out of place. Like you don't need to be a total speedster on that line because let's face it, JT is not the swiftest of feet, and Marner likes to slow the game down and pick it apart anyway.
Yeah.
You just got to be head smart with a decent shot, and I think that's what the guy is.
Oh yeah. He looks real good. I got to say that. I was joking in our group chat, the 4-year thing, but I don't care. That's a salary you can get rid of if necessary, but not looking that way, of course.
It's not looking like that kind of salary you're going to get rid of.
I think at the end of the day, and I continue to praise Dubas, even when he was looks like he was going to lose his job or whatever, he continues to make moves. We'll get to the Timmins one in a moment, but he hasn't made a lot of bad moves. Like even Hunt's last night looked really, really good. That I have no problem in playing on our fourth line.
Let's slide right into the moves. That was my next topic I wanted to talk about. So really, since our last podcast, which was 3 weeks ago, we didn't really have a chance to talk much Conor Timmins. He'd only gotten a game or two in at that point. We were kind of like, kid looks okay. Like when we praised up the move because it was the guy that traded Curtis Douglas was never going to play for this team ever. And they traded him for a guy who might play at the NHL level, and if not, would be a definite benefit for the Marlies in their top 4, maybe even top 2 with the Marlies. And the guys come in. He's a point per game player with the Leafs?
Yeah.
Timmins? Like he's all around it all the time for whatever reason. Sometimes it's just, clearly sometimes it's just happens to be the last one to touch the puck before. But hey, if giving the puck to Mariners is a good strategy, then the kid's on to something. You know what I mean?
Whatever. I'm not going to be picky.
Yeah.
I'm not picky over how to get their points either. And certainly for defensemen.
And we've had lots of people in there not doing that. So
I haven't looked yet, but I don't know how far Conor Timmins is off our leading scoring defenseman at this point, because our defense hasn't been putting up a lot of points to begin with this year.
I was going to bring this up. Morgan Raleigh, everyone's up in arms. Dude has 19 assists in 25 games.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, so he's under that. It'd be Conor. Sandin's got 14 points. I mean, Timmins sitting at 8. He just got her 11 games.
He's got more than 8, don't he? That's what's
I
there
don't know.
now.
This is this one, yeah. Unless it's not updated, I'll check you out here on that one.
He's sitting at, I think, 10 or 11 points now, I think. Anyway.
The two things shocks me about Timmins. One, so I'm here looking at Daily Faceoff and looking at, because I really do not know, beyond Chychrun and Gossett Sphere, I have no idea who else is on Arizona's defense.
Yeah.
UC Valimaki. Don't think I've ever heard of him. JJ Moser. Patrick Nemeth. I've heard of him before. Troy Stetcher. It is beyond me how the pro scouting staff of Arizona could not figure a way to keep him in Arizona and traded him for a bag of and the second shocking point is that how Dubas was able to make this trade and nobody else in the NHL, and Dubas has done this many a time, where he's the one that went in and floated in and got the guy that probably a little bit underrated, needed a second chance, those types of things. It's one of those things. I never doubt the man, I gotta say.
I don't either, because Dubas is not afraid to take a risk on an injured player. This is what he's proven, because look, he took the risk on Andre Kasha, career injury guy.
Yeah,
just so happened he had a really good run with the Leafs and didn't miss too many games. And when he didn't, he played incredibly well. Right, that worked out really, really well for him. Same thing with the Nick Foligno trade. Had that worked out a little better, Leafs might have made it past that round. You know what I mean? Like, it's just luck of the draw. But like, he's not afraid to go out and trade for a guy who's got an injury ridden career, because and no more you should, in a sense, because any player on the ice is one hit away from an injury anyway. So like, are you gonna to castrate a guy because he had a concussion 2 years ago? I don't really see the point. You know what I mean? And what, like, again, going back to the Conor Timmins thing, he looks good. Like, he looks far better than some of the regular NHL defensemen we've had in the lineup over the last 3 years. He looks better to me than Tyson Barrie did when he was a Leaf.
Definitely.
Every time Tyson Barrie was on the ice, my rectum was like that. I mean, like,
people were disappointed all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, like I was like, if this guy turns it over again, I'm going to lose it, right? Well, let me put it to you this way: aside from Justin Hall playing as well as he have lately, because give a dog his due, the fans were on him like white on rice. 2 months ago, he's played incredibly well alongside of Mark Giordano. I was really, really curious to see how it was going to go with Riley tonight, because I was like, oh, Hall's been on a good run. I don't want him to mess this up, and he played well. He wasn't noticeable. He made some good plays. He didn't turn the puck over, which is noteworthy. But yeah, I mean, given the option right now, Conor Timmins or Justin Hall, who do you trade if you got to lose one?
Oh, it's got to be Hall.
Depends on the return, but Hall, I would. Just the way Timmins is going. I mean, God, what are you going to get back for that? That's going to be worth. Yeah.
Hall must be 30, is he, or close to 30? Timmins is still less than 25. It didn't come down to a question, because that would be like a no-brainer for me. But in that lineup today, if you've got those, say, 7 defensemen right now, let's not include Mete or Jordy Ben or anything right now, just those 7 defensemen, like, who goes in, who goes out? I think Hall stays in there, because I think he's been incredible, especially on the PK. It'd be Sandin or Timmins for me. Tim Liljegren doesn't go nowhere in my eyes.
It's funny because I'm glad you mentioned Liljegren. We're all on the same page here, because I as soon as you mentioned it, I wanted to bring him up because we're talking about Conor Timmins. And to me, the parallels between those two players, the way they skate, their head up movement of the puck, the way they pass the puck, the whole thing, everything to me screams similarities, which makes sense. I mean, they were scouted to be the same kind of player. They were both first round draft picks, or was he? Conor Timmins, or was it early first, second round? Anyway,
he was first round.
It was first rounder, yeah.
Pretty sure, yeah.
In any case, high draft pick, right? And what you see is what you get. Both had some injury troubles. Well, not injury troubles for Liljegren. He had mono or whatever it was in his last year before being drafted. Yeah. But point being is that they're very, very similar background type players, and Man, when I watched Conor Timmins play, he had one bad play a few games ago. Again, I'm not one of these guys who can recall the game and the minute and the period and but I remember he turned over the puck in his own end at one point, and it was very, very, very gross looking play that ended up his own net. And I was like, oh, friggin' young guy, blah blah. Then you see a guy like Marner do exactly the same thing tonight, and you're like, what are you gonna do? It's the NHL.
Fast-paced game.
Yeah. So all in all, I mean, sample size being what it is no longer a small sample size for Conor Timmins. Give his game a rating, then we'll move on to something else. But I want an A. You can go A, B, C, pluses or minuses, and then
A plus.
You're an A plus on Conor Timmins.
Yeah, low expectations and has done wonders in his short time frame with the Leafs. And that's an A plus for Dubas as well. Because you know what,
plus that you're talking is for Dubas. I don't know if the kid is an A plus.
No, not. But based on the way I would look at that, yeah,
the whole scene,
the expectations and all those types of things, what we traded for him. Dubas could have very well went out and made. I'm sure he's made an offer for Chychrun, who's going to cost you a whole lot more.
Oh, yeah.
And he's about better defenseman than Timmins, but the fact that he was able to go out and make a trade with Arizona that didn't include Chychrun and went out and got the steal for Timmins, huge.
Well, what you got to ask yourself in with raising that point is the difference between Conor Timmins and Jacob Chychrun as they sit currently, is the difference in production worth a blue chip player or blue chip prospect, an active player, and 2 first-round picks? And the answer to that is an outstanding no. That's what it would have cost you.
The one thing that Chychrun would bring to the lineup, because I have him in my fantasy pool, that we do not have, and we absolutely do not have, is he shoots the puck a ton from the point.
Yeah.
And we haven't had one of those guys in a long while that's what Barry is not pass first. Unless he came into this team and the way that they're structured and the way that they keep strategizes the play, that they have to feed the puck to the forwards. That's the only thing and his contract is lovely, all those things. I'd love to have the guy, but really not interested in giving up Liljegren or Sandin for him.
No, not even close. I got no interest whatsoever in trading either one of those players.
Well, Mark Spector on Twitter just in, the Edmonton reporter was fielding questions while on the plane or whatever. Anyways, one of the questions was around defense. Don't want to switch this to Edmonton, but it's a Chychrun conversation. He said there was 4 players to choose from, and which one would Edmonton choose? And his reply to the tweet was, or to the question, Chychrun has been on the block for 2 years, and there's 31 other GMs that have not traded for him. Now, in fairness, he's been injured a lot, but the same point applies, though, that 31 GMs didn't go after him. I'd love to have the guy, but I'm not giving up. I'm sure they want Matthew Nyes. It's just not happening.
Yeah.
Me either. I think you're going to see Nyes in the playoffs.
Oh, no doubt.
That's going to be wild.
I am excited for that because he's going to slot right in on second line. Boom. Day one. Power forward. See what you got, kid. Play with 2 of the best players on the planet.
Well, I don't see a situation where, to change the topic a little bit, because I love my trade talk, I don't see in any situation where Nick Robertson is still a Leaf after the deadline. That's my prediction. I was going to say bold prediction. I don't think it's bold. I still think he's young enough that he's still, I don't know about a blue chip, probably a late blue chip. I don't know. But him and or Niemela, I don't think are Leafs.
Oh, I hope Niemela is. I don't want to see him go anywhere.
Well, the player that the Leafs are going to want to acquire is going to cost one of those type prospects. They're not going to trade Nyes. He's their number 1 prospect right now, I think, in the pool, if you looked at their depth chart. But any of the teams who are trading a Patrick Kane or trading a this or trading a that for you to bolster your lineup big time heading into the playoffs are going to want your second or third best option. And that right now is Robertson or Niemela. And Robertson, to me, is the guy that goes out as well. But I'll be sad because I really like the guy. I love his tenacity. I love his work ethic, his dedication. I mean, after we had Todd Crocker on that night chatting Marley's hockey, and he talked to Robertson in such high regard, based on those qualities. Yeah, no, like I love Nick, but again, it's a business, and you can't get something for nothing. Well, I shouldn't say that. Dubas does it quite regularly, but when you're talking about those big players, something's got to go out.
Like if you're going after a Raleigh or Kane, or I don't think Horvat will be in their plans.
No.
I think they're looking for a little bit of the older guy that's a UFA. It's just it's a first and one of those guys, and maybe a third or something. I just don't see Robertson a Leaf after the deadline. I'm kind of fine with it. Like, if you're
Again,
gonna,
I trust
Depends
whatever
on
Dubas
this.
going to do. It is what it is.
Yeah.
You know, he pulled off the magic of getting Nick Foligno last year out trading an active roster player.
yeah,
That was crazy to me. Not last year,
Yeah.
2 years ago.
2 years ago,
Um,
yeah.
But like, I mean, without trading an active roster player or a high end or a high end prospect, it was mostly just picks and whatever. So yeah, no, I trust whatever Dubas going to do. I've never questioned any of his moves until recently, which gets us back to what we were talking about before. Patty Sandlanced us in about 8 different directions in one conversation.
Oh boy.
I gotta get Chad's take first. What's your grade on Conor Timmins? Then we're gonna move on.
First 11 games, I give him a solid A. He's it took him a few games, a few practices. They never rushed him in, and I mean, he never looked out of place. I mean, everyone's going to have their gaff every now and again. They all do it. And you know what? He had that glaring one a few games ago, like you mentioned, and you don't like to see that too often. If it continues, that's a problem. But man, it hasn't been a problem. I don't see problems.
Yeah, I'm same as you guys. So we're all on the same grading scale here. I'm at
How
an
many-
A.
How
For
many
all the
minutes
reasons
does
you
he
guys
play?
stated. I'm not gonna beat that to death.
That's
But
ice time. You know?
not enough. Not enough.
No, I
think
wanna
he's
see
out there
that,
quite a
actually.
bit all the same.
Yeah, that's going to affect my grade now. But then again, no, it's still an A.
Still an A.
Yeah, I'm not that tough.
So what I was saying a few seconds ago was I never questioned any of Dubas's moves until recently, when they traded Dennis Mulligan for Dryden Hunt. Now, I'm not one to question Dubas because I just generally don't. But like I looked at the trade, I done all the research that I always do, beat it upside down, inside out, trying to figure out what they seen in this kid, and I'm still left questioning why when it comes to the Dennis Mulligan thing. I guess for whatever reason, Mulligan just did not fit their style or their whatever it was. He just didn't fit. Preseason Mulligan looked like he was going to crack top 6. Regular season Mulligan was kind of He was given lots of opportunity and nothing really materialized. But he could score. There's no doubt about it. The kid can score and he can skate. He had the foot speed to keep up with any of our stars. And they trade him for a guy who's at best a 4th liner. Can I get some agreement there from somebody on that?
Definitely. Yeah.
That's at best. That's if he cracks the lineup. Now I'm not saying Mulligan wasn't cracking the lineup too for a while, but it just left me scratching my head because it's not like he was I mean, yeah, he's not afraid to drop the mitts. He's not afraid to, get in the dirty areas and, along the boards and be a bit physical and whatnot. But like I said, that's still not his calling card. I was like, what is the deal here? Now, that being said, I've watched him. He doesn't look like a terrible player. I mean, I'm not knocking the kid in any way, shape, or form. It just left me questioning why. Why at this point in the game?
There was I don't know which panelist it was, because shortly after the same questions were it may have been Jeff O'Neill, or could have been, actually, it may have been Drager. And specifically with regards to Malgin, you're saying he's been unable to show that he can play in the top 6. He's not a bottom 6 type of player who's going to go out and bang and crash. So those 2 facts or opinions alone makes him like easy to be traded or whatever. That's kind of what I'm hanging my head on.
Yeah,
So
I agree, and that makes all the sense in the world as to why you trade him. But is Dryden Hunt the best player out of the 400 players in this league? Is he the best player available for Dennis Mulligan? I guess.
I'm gonna say yes. I can't imagine the market for Malgin was very high at all. I'd have a bigger question as to why Colorado would want Malgin.
That was the more confusing thing as well. I was like, what? What? Like, didn't you guys just win a cup? Like, what? Anyway, like I said, the whole thing confused me. That being said, all that said, like I said, I just the why of it all just again scrambles my brain because you generally by week 2 of a Dubas trade, you're like, oh no, I get it. Dubas is genius, right?
Yeah.
Forgot that. Right now, I'm still like, it doesn't matter. It's a trade that really doesn't matter. But and the Dubas haters will say, oh, you traded Marchment for Mulligan, and Marchment's now a $5 million. He wasn't when he was with the Leafs. The stupid talk. That's people who don't like Dubas, and you people are also stupid. So, I guess we just lost a few subscribers. But anyway,
Good.
Yeah, good. We don't want you.
Yeah, it's
Better than where.
Better than
yes, we got tons of spare. We're good.
Yeah.
I was just thinking, myself, I just thought he needed some size and someone who is going to actually like throw the body a bit. Maybe he needed that more than what Mulligan was bringing. That's what I got.
Yeah, and
Just
you're
someone that's
not
gonna
because you're going to have
get in those
injuries in your
areas.
bottom 6. Oh, sorry, Chad, go ahead.
Yeah. It's just like make him a little bit harder to play against rather than try to fill the net.
Yeah, and that's what I was about to say there. You're going to have injuries in your bottom 6 just as likely as you are in your top 6. And to Patty's point, if you're going to put somebody in your bottom 6, might as well somebody who's suited for the bottom 6.
Right.
But like I was hoping when the guy came in, I was hoping that maybe this Hunt guy, maybe he's like a penalty kill expert or something. They could use a couple more guys like that on just on a just in case basis, but he's not, right?
I think it's just getting rid of a guy that didn't fit.
Yeah, maybe.
Sometimes we read too much into it because Dubas always, and again, I'm a massive Dubas supporter. Dubas always shown, again, your 2-week window. Yeah, that makes sense. That's why he made the trade. No difference than was it Clifford and Campbell in the same package when he came from LA?
Yes. Yeah.
Clifford was the main part of that trade, but look what Jack Campbell turned in for us. Like, I just got so much support for Dubas. He's taking a lot of crap, and you know what? If this team doesn't do well this year, and you probably would get fired just because it's Toronto. It's not like David Poyle in Nashville, who's been here since day one. It will not be Dubas' fault. I don't know what else that man can do.
And
I think it is. He's throwing 5 hits a game, 6 hits a game, 3 hits a game.
Yeah.
And that's in about 10 minutes.
Fair.
Mulligan didn't do that, did he?
Oh, there was a lot of zeros on Mulligan's stat sheet a lot of times.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's just it.
It might be. So, on the Dryden Hunt, given what he is and what he was acquired to do, which was clearly acquired to play in the bottom 6, most likely on the 4th line, A, B, or C? What do you got, Patty? Go Chad first. One Patty first last time.
Like I said, he's throwing those hits in about 10 minutes a game. Let's give him a good old friendly B. Because you know what? It's not like he's doing those things great. He's not like wowing, but he's getting it done. Like a journeyman effort there so far.
Mm-hmm.
He's trying, man. He came in through the mitts and nearly got his head taken off, but he was all right.
Respect for anybody who's willing to drop him. Patty, what do you think?
Absolutely.
So when I am asked to do a rating like this, it's more based on expectations of the player coming in because
First and foremost, are you asked to give ratings on players in the NHL on a regular daily basis?
well, Bobby Mack calls me every once in a while. I'll see to get my thoughts and all that stuff.
Just give me the rating, all right?
I'm gonna say a B. Like I'd give the guy an A because I had 0 expectations coming in. He hasn't pissed me off yet, so like
that's how we rate people.
So like
what have you done for me lately?
You start up here, you piss me off, you can go down. And that's
like,
it.
We start you at an A and then we downgrade you. There's no working your way up with us.
Hattie gets all ginger
against. Like it's one of those trades. I don't know, TBD, I suppose, but they'll probably just end up scoring the Stanley Cup winning goal, and I'm not even going to say Game 7. I'm going to say Game 4. We'll go out for the good old sweep in June.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm hoping to. Dryden Hunt wins it in overtime.
Well, you know what? Maybe he has one of those efforts where he like jumps in front of 3 pucks and becomes a hero forever. You know?
Yeah.
I think he's going to be that kind of guy. He's going to get and do those things that.
You just brought something up, and then you go to our next topic or whatever.
Yeah.
I think it was 5 or 6 years ago. Who was the guy on the penalty kill? Was it Tim Brent? who got in the way of 3 slap shots in a row. I think it was one off the knee, one off the ankle, maybe one upper body.
I think you're right.
I think it was Timmy Brent. Like it
And I
was
think
just
it
go.
blew
It was
for the-
And that wasn't
going
5 or
around
6
for-
years ago either. That was
Oh,
a
that's probably
good
10, is it?
decade at least.
Okay, yeah.
I
Yeah,
think
that
what's his
was,
name? Poof with the Growlers when they won the Kelly Cup. Remember? Did you watch that game?
Yeah,
No.
I did. Yeah.
Poof jumped in front of a bunch there, man. It was
Marner
Yeah,
did
that
that
was
a couple
good.
years, 2 or 3 years ago, I think.
yeah. She nearly took one head on. Yeah,
Yeah.
the very
So,
last one. He was
anyways,
jumping face first. I'm like, no.
I was wondering who that was. I thought it was Timmy Brent, but
Tim Brent.
Could be.
Well, my grade for the kid, I'm gonna give him a good B plus because again, expectations were low. I was like, is he even gonna play? So the fact that he got in the lineup speaks volumes. Then I started saying, well, is he a better player than Joey Anderson? And the answer to that is an astounding yes. Joey Anderson is barely an NHL player, and I think Hunt is an NHL player. So I know I'm giving him a B plus based on the fact that he came in and he's playing. He's playing minutes somewhat regular. I think he would have been tonight, other than it was a back-to-back, and Timmins was in Philadelphia. A little bit of extra toughness on Timmins' side was nice to have. Give him tip of the hat. Long career in Philly. This might be his last season. I don't know why I want to keep saying that because I think there's more in Wayne Timmins yet, but we'll see. But yeah, so that's my take on Dryden Hunt. So last but not least, what are you going to talk about next? Anybody got any
trade deadline?
Deadline. That's what I was going to say. I knew it. So I was going to toss it to you. Trade deadline's coming up, folks.
So the one response to the quiz question today, which was in regards to what do the Leafs need, Poulin said goaltending, which is absolute no unless the goalie goes down. So whatever. Yeah. Drager said like a physical defenseman, like a Muzzin-esque. I don't think that's where they're going to put their coins. I was there with Noodles, who said top 6 forward. And I continue to say, and I don't know if anybody believes me, you guys obviously do, the Leafs did not lose in the first round of the playoffs for the last 100 years because of goaltending or defense, is when the top players got shut down, no one else could score. Now, the only difference this year, the fact that you really got Nylander and Tavares going, you got 4 solid guys. I still think you need to go and get that impact player. I want Ryan O'Reilly. I'm sick and tired of going in and filling up with, at the deadline, a 5-6 defenseman, 5-6 pairing, or bottom 6 forwards. Like, if you can go get a scoring winger for Tavares and Nylander and bring Yarncroc down, and someone else moves down to the 4th line, all the better. I want Ryan O'Reilly. I'm going to get the jersey.
My question to you then is, who is going to be that forward this year that sneaks under the radar? It's like sneaks under the radar as a amazing pickup. Who was it the other day that, or this year, not the other day, Chicago traded, what's his name, DeBrincat. Like, I mean, that I was like, what? Where was all the other 30 teams on that one? You know what I mean? And lands in Ottawa. I'm like, if the Leafs could land someone like that on a reasonable contract that you could get an extra couple of years out of, I don't care who you trades. Like the rental market being what it is what it is. You're going to lose something, you get something, you lose that at the end of the year. If Dubas can somehow manage to find a scoring winger that he can keep for a couple of years, go ahead and trade whoever. Not Noyes, but I'm not. It would have to be, in order to trade Matthew Noyes, it would need to be a blockbuster for me. Like
marquee
one of those, 4-player trades that the best player in the trade is going to Toronto.
It better be like Seth Jones.
Yeah, like
right.
I don't even know if that would do it. Yeah, that would.
Horvat, something like that.
Roman Josi, like I'm thinking like that.
Yeah. So
it's going to be marquee.
Matthew Noyes is no guarantee either. These kind of college hockey players, they win Holby Bakers, they do this, they do that, and all this stuff. Some of them just never end up doing anything, i.e. Jimmy Vesey.
So I was going to say, we just had one.
Yeah.
What's it? The Kaiser is another one.
But if you can lock up 2 or 3 years of a, basically a up and coming star, or at least at the very least, a top 6 forward, I don't know why you wouldn't. So anyway, that's always my question: is who out there is low key under the radar, kind of disgruntled, or wants a trade, or if there's someone going to seek him out, it'll be Dubas. So that'll be interesting to see, because like we said every year, we're like, there's always somebody we're not thinking about until he goes and gets the guy we're thinking about, i.e. Nick Foligno.
Yeah.
How's Jonathan Taves' health, I wonder?
I'd say he'll go to Winnipeg.
I would not care.
Yeah, I'd probably.
Jonathan Tave's
Yeah,
been one of my favorite players a long time.
I take Patty Kane. Like, I think the thing with Patty Kane, like you listen, you can trade him anywhere and he's going to produce. I think he's a guy that can come into the dressing room pretty easily. Ryan O'Reilly again has that what appears that playoff package, but is Ryan O'Reilly or Patrick Kane for me. I just don't.
Wow.
There's too much unknowns. Like to go out and get a JT Miller with that big contract, and he's been in the media negatively these days. You don't know what you got to pay Nylander next year. Like there's a lot of unknowns coming. You know what I mean? Salary cap and those things. I can't see. I can see Dubas going out and getting like a Michael Bunting. That guy, like you were saying, flies underneath the radar. That and or a big name. I'm hoping he goes for the big name player. Because
I think it's the year when Dubas does that, when he goes full on Raptors trading for Kawhi kind of deal. I don't know if it will be to that magnitude, but I do think this is the year when he tries to bring in the big name, kind of puts it all on the line, because I think he's sick of losing in the first round as much as anybody, probably more than everybody. No one hates losing more than Kyle Dubas. I can guarantee you that. Certainly with the amount of work he's put into this, and I don't blame Kyle Dubas for all this. Like, so to me, the buck stops with Sheldon Keefe. If your coach can't get it done, he's got to be the first one to blame. But anyway, I'm not getting into that because they're playing really well right now. They're playing as good as they did last year when they set a franchise record for the most wins in the season. Same outcome, unfortunately, out in the first round. But it's a new year. All on teams firing on all cylinders. Pierre Engvall's looking good, weird. I don't know. Like the third line just looks effective with David Kampf. The fourth line is what it is. They got some guys there who aren't a liability. You're not talking about the Fraser McLaren days. You got guys there like Zach Aston Reese who potted one tonight, and Pontus Holmberg, who if you told me he was going to be an effective NHLer 2 months ago, I'd have said you're out of your mind. He looks fine. He looks better than fine. If we're going to grade people, he'd be my A++. I'm like, who is this kid? I mean, I've known who he is, obviously, because I've followed the depth pool like a hawk, but I didn't foresee him coming in. Not after following his stats at the Marlies. I was like, he might never play in the NHL. To me, I don't think he should ever go back to the AHL now. So, anything else in the trade market? Anybody reading anything, seeing anything, hearing anything?
I'm reading right now. Do you know what's funny? Just seeing the picture of Martin and the guys over the Christmas holidays having dinner with JVR. He's also on the list of trade bait.
I'm not cold to the idea.
No?
Imagine bringing Shan and JVR back, who were traded for each other.
If you're going to do that,
far-fetched.
Might as well go get Kessel too. He'd be a great addition on the second line.
I'm not dead on JVR. I think that guy can still play. Like, I wouldn't even be upset. You put him on the wing with Tavares and Nylander. I don't know if he can skate with the boys, but Tavares is not really a great skater, anyways. I kind of be fine with it.
The one that interests me, everyone talks about Bo Horvat out of Vancouver, but the one that really intrigues me a lot is Besser.
Yeah,
because I think he comes a lot cheaper.
Definitely.
And I'm not convinced he's not the right fit on that second line. That kind of player, like he can score, he can flat, or at least he could. Now, whether he still can, I have no idea. But I don't know. Can he play that? Can he play that wing? I have no idea.
I don't love the guy, but if he comes for cheap, because I think he's in the $5-6 million range in his contract, isn't he? I believe.
Probably.
Yeah, he'd have to come on the cheap for me to have interest.
The other name that comes up a lot
what
too,
you're getting.
Not related to the Leafs, but I think low key, excellent pickup for whoever gets him is Timo Meier out of San Jose. Excellent right winger, but again, same issue, right? But again, none of these guys who are rentals are going to be cheap. There's going to be hopefully salary retained in most cases. It is what it is. But like I said, there's the list, the trade bait list. I should have had it up here ready to go. This year is just stacked with interesting names: the Jonathan Taves, the Patrick Kanes, Timo Meier, two guys out of Vancouver. Jacob Chychrun. All those guys are just
Tarasenko
is
there.
Wow. That'd be wild.
He's there. He's UFA.
That, well, he'd be ideal. I mean, he plays left wing if I'm not mistaken, don't he?
Yeah, I think so.
I do believe. But like another name that's kicking around the trade list is Erik Karlsson. I'm like, how does Erik Karlsson, he's going to win a Norris probably this year, yet he's on a trade block, right? It's going to be a wild run here when some of these teams like the Leafs, like Edmonton, who are really not there but want to get there, start unloading for these guys. There's going to be some interesting names moved to some interesting places, I think.
But when you have this conversation with other fans and folks that probably don't watch it as closely as us, this big unknown out, or not an unknown, it's just ignorance in a way that, the Leafs salary cap is the worst in the NHL. Well, you know what? It's far from the worst in the NHL. And if you're a contending team at all, you're right at the cap. And I think what determines someone that has a horrible cap situation versus someone that has a good one, well, I think it's the length of contracts, and some of those players that are not contributing to your team right now that are on those long-term contracts. I think Yarncroc and Raleigh are the ones with the longest contracts right now, for 8 years and 4 years or whatever. So, like, I think the Leafs, because I throw out those names to somebody when they ask me, who do you think the Leafs would go after? And I said, well, geez, go after a Patty Kane or a Karlsson. Everybody looks at me with like 100 eyes and saying, well, how can the Leafs do that in their cap situation? I said, first of all, stop listening to TSN and reading Twitter and all this about the top 4 contracts being so big and percentage of the team.
Start listening to the DSC podcast.
Yeah.
Yes.
Come on.
Dubas will work wonders. There's not a player in this NHL that's on the block that he would not be able to fit into the cap. I'm just just saying.
Not with the ability to retain salaries and this and that, and there's always ways to grease that wheel to make it work. Certainly, if you're talking about rental players, if you're talking about the rental market, anything fits.
My final thing with Dubas, man, I don't mean to cut you off, but I don't know if his job is ever really in jeopardy, because everybody can hide behind the first round exits and stuff, but this has been the best chance we've ever had in our lifetime.
Yeah.
I mean, why would you just willfully walk away from that? Like, I will go with this team every time. I mean, every time. That's it. Like, what do you think we're going to do to be better? Fire a GM who's like rocking looks like he's going to win every time.
If they came out tomorrow and offered 8-year extensions to all 4 of those guys, those top 4, I'd be fine with it. Now, obviously, JT's would have to be a lot less than he's making now, but the other 3, if we come out with long-term extensions for those guys at reasonable hits, do it, because I'm fine to watch this. I'm fine to watch this grade of hockey for the rest of my fandom, because I'm going to give it up when they're all done. Like, it's just
if somebody don't think our chances are good enough going in, and that like the final result is all you get. I mean,
that's a really good point, because you know what? I think there's greater risk to the team as a whole and to the future success of Dubas leaving and bringing in a new regime, because as long as those 4 are there and you fit the other pieces around it, and we should be saying 5 with Riley because he's a long-term piece, you really know what you're going to get every year. Like, if anybody thought coming into this year with the goaltending tandem that the Leafs would be fighting for a playoff spot, because some did think that. Yeah. I don't know if I expect them to be this good, but they were not. People said, well, they're going to be fighting with Ottawa for a playoff spot. Well, Ottawa would have had to make a 25, 30-point jump from where they were last year to this year to get in the playoffs, and again they're struggling.
Well, I mean, Josh Norris down, that's a big thing, right? That's the game, man. That's it. And I'm going to go with this chance.
Staying healthy is. I mean, you look at Mikko Rantanen now off of Colorado.
Yeah,
like, it just changes the entire team. You take Mitch Marner, go down with a broken ankle now. This is over. Right?
That's right.
This is over. Like, with a cap, I don't care how good the other 3 are. He's just the straw right now that stirs the drink, and you don't replace him. You'll still win scattered game, but Marner right now is heart and soul of his team. Same thing as if Matthews went down. I don't think that's nearly as detrimental as Marner going down, but if Matthews went down injured, I mean, it's done. Like, your goose is cooked. You're not going to the playoff series without either one of those guys winning. Forget it.
And what does that fall on Dubas then when you don't get past round 1?
Well, and that's where, if you could ever separate the knowledgeable fans to the ones that are ignorant more from lack of knowledge, not that they're assholes or whatever, but if you could ever separate them, because you actually can on on Twitter and Facebook. Those who have knowledge, and because the idea that, oh yeah, let's trade Morgan Raleigh because they lost 2 games or whatever, and their defense is not as good since he's back. Like, boy, that's it's just poor hockey knowledge in my mind. Maybe that's arrogant. I don't know, but
I don't know. You know what? It was after the
Any trade top
2013 meltdown. I changed my thoughts. I had to change my view. I mean, I used to be all up in arms and like, what the hell is going on, freaking out. And I learned, you know what? There's better ways to be. It's good. And you know what? Things are looking great.
And when was the last time you had
just
2 500-point scorers on the same team with the Leafs? Like, it actually scored
Exactly.
500 points.
And
No
if
one,
you
I
look
guess.
at the moves, and you look at all the little moves that he made, we were talking about the injury stuff, like Tyler Ennis, and you're flipping this stuff and getting stuff in return sometimes.
Yeah.
He's hitting all these bargains. You're not getting enough credit. Anyway, well, that's Leafs Nation. You got to love them.
Well, you don't have to. I don't love them. I love the team. Leafs Nation, I've turned on hard in the last 2 or 3 years. But listen, if you like the Leafs, subscribe to our podcast. But no, it's
Now they win.
it's a tough team to cheer for because of the fans only. Well, not only. The media precipitates what the fans are hearing, and therefore infecting their brains with these weird spins that Kyle Dubas is an issue. Kyle Dubas would be out of a job for about 15 minutes if we fired him tomorrow, I think. But anyway, that's neither here nor there as well.
It's all good.
Guys, I think we'll knock her on the head if you guys are happy. That's a lot covered in a very short period of time.
I'd be happier if we won the Stanley Cup tonight, but
yeah.
Well, we'll get
It's coming, man.
We'll get to our playoff predictions in a few more months. Ooh, can't wait. All right, guys. Well, if you liked what you heard, again, click that like and subscribe button. Again, share it around for us too if you get a chance. We always appreciate the share. You never know who's going to pick up and enjoy a half an hour, 45 minutes of us ranting. But you can pick up all of our content at our Facebook page. Everything runs through there. So it's www.facebook.com/DeekSnipeSelly. If you're listening via, most of you guys are listening via Apple Music, or Apple Podcasts. But we're also on Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, all of the above, really. So you can get us on any of your podcast platforms. As well, we got our own website, of course, www.deeksnipeselly.ca. And last but not least, there is a video portion. If you just can't get enough beards, you got to tune in on our YouTube channel. Just search Deke Snipe Selly, and you'll see the little hockey player slapshot guy celebration. Little side note there to the logo. A lot of people, I've had a few people ask me. They're like, "Oh, that must be Matthews or Marner Selly." No, it is not. I'll leave it to you guys to figure out who that actually is.
I thought I saw you at the rink like 10 years ago filming me.
Also not Patty. Anyway, that's a little bit of an Easter egg for anybody who's interested. See if you can figure out who that silhouette is, and I'll throw you a prize. How about that?
All right. Looks like Marner.
Yeah, that's not a Leafs player. I'll tell you that much. So you got 30 some odd teams to go through. All right, guys. Again, that's it. So hope you enjoyed yourself. And again, Happy New Year to all you Deke Snipe Sellies out there. All right. Catch you later, guys. Peace out.